Oh, gamers, hello, hello, hello. The Switch 2 has no games by Bo Talks Games. Now, from what I've been made aware of, apparently this is a people online masterclass. Is this gonna be another case where we have the more interesting conversation the video allows? Because if they're literally talking about when people say the Switch 2 has no games, cry harder. People have been making the same joke about the PS5, even though the PS5 does have games. When people say the PS5 has no games, it's just kind of funny. When people say the Switch 2 has no games, it's just kind of funny. It's not true. Obviously, it's not true if you take it literally, but it's just kind of funny when people say it. When people say it, I laugh. I got a Switch 2. I should be offended. But no, it's funny. It's literally, we only got like Mario Kart and Bonanza. Do you know what I mean? So let's see how people online we get it. Take it away, brother.
Okay, so yesterday morning we got a new Nintendo Direct, and Nintendo revealed a lot of games. In fact, if you actually look at how many games they typically reveal per Nintendo Direct, it was one of the biggest Directs they've ever done in terms of new game announcements, not even counting the remakes and upgrades and stuff like that. There were 4 fully new Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive games announced, plus all the other stuff. People are really upset about this Nintendo Direct, and one phrase, one sentence that I've...
Why does it kind of sound like... See, I'm glad... I was waiting for someone else to say it. I was waiting for someone else to say it. Because I'm like, okay, am I like in the Arlo zone too much? And also, just to get on your point about how like, they announced the most games possible. 4 whole new games! I'm like, okay, they can announce new games, but like, are they good games? I think that's the question we need to ask ourselves here.
Seen more than ever before is that, quote, Switch 2 has no games, which, if you are on the internet a lot, you will know is something that has been said about the PS5 for many years, because most PS5 games at the early days were on PS4, then they started coming to PC, so the PS5 doesn't have that many true exclusives. And now that same sentiment is being put onto the Switch 2, which, as someone who has been covering Nintendo on YouTube for over 10 years now, since the early Wii U days.
He's been covering Nintendo for he's been covering Nintendo for 10 years. I don't want to give you too much shit for that, but I always find it funny when people go like, yeah, guys, I've been playing video games for like 30 years, all right? So I know what I'm talking about. It's always a little funny when people say that. I don't know if he's doing it in this, I don't know if it, like, do you know what I mean? It's like, we didn't need the credentials, but I find it funny when people mention it regardless. Do you know what I mean? It's just one of those things that made me go like, oh, interesting.
Someone who plays games on all platforms, as you can see, I have PS5 games. There are a couple games on PS5 there.
No
I really
way!
don't get why people are coming to this conclusion, and a lot of the issues people have with the Direct of like, oh, there weren't any system sellers. Oh, where was this game?
Gamers, I think this is like a classic textbook case of people online chat. I feel like after nearly 10 years of Directs, if not plus 10 years, I actually have no doubt to remember, I think we kind of just know that the Direct was good if you got games, the Direct was bad if you didn't have games. Very rarely when it comes to like the post-Direct like discourse, do you see people like giving like more objective ratings to a Direct. Like, yeah, in this one they announced the most new games they've ever done. Does that make it better? Like, if you like look at it from a content perspective, was the Direct good? There's very few people that do that. It's just, did I get my Scrimbly Wimbly Jimmy Gwimbly? And that's it. That's generally how it tends to work online. That's how most people tend to rate it. I would say I was fair in my rating of 7.5, even though I would say, what, Legends DLC, new Fire Emblem, and then Metroid release date, Wonder DLC. Yeah, there was a couple of, I would say, yeah. There was nothing that blew my mind, so I think my 7.5 rating was fair. But yeah, most people just tend to do that, which is fine. I'll down the hill that hasn't been a bad general Direct since 2017. Whether what you got personally was wanted is irrelevant. There's always something for everyone. Yeah, exactly. But like, again, the internet is the internet. It's, you know what I mean? That's just what it is.
I'm kind of just left scratching my head wondering, like, well...
I don't know why you're scratching your head. It's very easy. It's very easy, Bo. It's very, very easy. I'm generally a bit more sympathetic when people do like a level 2 or a level 3 people online. But I feel like there's a level 1 people online. People are just like inherently selfish. People want what appeals to them, and that's kind of it. That's like we're talking like level 1. This is even like a people online. People offline do this too. If something affects them, they're more likely to say something. Do you know what I mean? This isn't even like a oh, you're falling for the people online, but I get it, and like maybe I can explain to you a bit more. This is like frame 1, broski. What are we doing here?
Why does it matter if Yoshi's not a system seller? If that game doesn't look fun to you, that's fine, but why does it matter to you that game won't move consoles? If you want to play it, just play it. Why do you care what Nintendo's bottom line is.
Okay, in all fairness, I do find that shit really weird. As a football fan, people also do this when it comes to football stuff as well. Like, we'll sign like a player that we really needed, and then you'll get like some numpty in the corner saying, but we paid too much. I'm like, okay, when we say we in reference to a football club, like, yeah, we're a club, we support a team. But like, when it comes to we, you're not the finance guy. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're quite lucky that if we support Arsenal, we probably don't have to worry about the financials in that way. Where if you support like a team in like a lower division, lower ladder of the football pyramid, then yeah, there's probably something you have to worry about. But like, if you support a big club, that's not something you have to concern yourself with. In the same way, if you support a big company like Nintendo, that's not something you have to concern yourself with. So I always find it weird when people do it. I'm like, but it won't move systems. I'm like, what? Okay, the question is, do you want it? That's the question. So yeah, I agree. I do find that weird when people do that, definitely.
This entire narrative that the Switch 2 has no games, we're going to bring the receipts, we're going to disprove it. And I've even had people in my replies and in my comments saying, oh, if you were there for the Switch 1, this is the worst year one for a Nintendo console ever. The Switch 1 was way better.
Okay, but this could be a good video if you disprove the allegations. Because like, personally, I'm just personally not invested enough to do so. But yeah, this is a sentiment I've heard quite a bit. Damn, that 2017, like I think even Nintendo Land said it, and on top of like, not just him, but a lot of people, that 2017 Direct was so good. Oh, we'll never get something above that 2017 Direct. And I'm just like, okay, maybe that one Direct was good, but like, how many, like, do you know what I mean? Like, how many, like how good was it actually? Maybe I'll even do the research next stream. Maybe we'll do the research and like go through it all. Because like I've heard this sentiment so much, I'm just like, I feel like you guys are lying to me, but I can't even bother to do the research.
Quite objectively, it wasn't. But if you are new here and you enjoy Nintendo Switch 2 discussions, I would appreciate you liking the video and subscribing. Let's get into it. All right, so I put out this tweet yesterday, late last night before going to bed, and my friend Tucker made this graph.
I do love a good... Well, I put a tweet out the other day. The only time you're going to hear me going, well, I put out a tweet is when I'm like just like rage baiting. You know what I mean? Like, that's the only time you're going to hear me chat say, I put this tweet out, and people are like, I don't know, man. It's just not for me. I don't use Twitter that way. This is how I use Twitter. I use Twitter to send this to I use Twitter to post this on my Twitter so that Odyssey Central might see it and then comment, wow. That's why you use the Twitter machine, okay? That's why you use the Twitter machine. This is the reason you use Twitter. So when people do it like this, I'm just like, a bit strange, but all right. Let's see where you're going with this, Bo. Let's see where you're going with this.
It's basically every Nintendo game from the beginning of 2025 through what we have announced, including all of the Switch 2 upgrades and stuff, all the free patches, just to really demonstrate how much Nintendo has released. And as you can see, I mean, 3.7k likes, people widely are agreeing.
Got a lot of metrics.
If you go on the replies, it is a...
Okay, first I want to say likes equals agreement. I would just say, sometimes I like a tweet just to like save it on my like tweet so I can show you guys later. I forget the bookmark button exists, and like seeing the likes is just quicker. One of my liked tweets is in reference to this tweet. Gamer from Mars made a video on 100 YouTubers that said the N-word. And I did like a tweet where somebody went, counting up from 99, saying 100, and then you doing it right there and then. I'm not gonna lie, Gamer Remote, that would have been so funny. Okay, this was just fire, guys. This is straight up heat. She unlocked my phone with her butt. That's an ass word. I'm like, oh shit. This rap might be fire. Normally when it comes to like Americanisms versus Britishisms, obviously Britishisms rule every day. I will say that this one is definitely one the Americans win. Most Americans react to Britishisms overplaying, but saying washing up liquid instead of dish soap that is weird. That is actually weird. Now that I think about it, washing up liquid does sound really weird compared to just dish soap. I think Americans take a W on that one. Yeah, it's literally a liquid for washing up. What's the problem? And I'm supposed to think the sink is a washing up appliance. Very rarely do we lose, but I think that was a loss for us, 100%. I can keep going, but we're not gonna get too sidetracked. Let's keep talking, but let's keep going.
It is a mess in there. People are going crazy trying to disprove it. They're making images showing like, okay, well actually this is a tech demo here.
Playable on Switch. I mean, are they wrong though? Like playable on Switch 1. Literally just ports. Playable on Switch 1. I mean, if you consider Walker Tour a game, I'm sorry. Hey, whoever made this graphic is fucking fire. Switch 2 DLC. So we got Duskbloods, Fire Emblem, Pokopia, Splatoon Raiders, Mario Fever, Air Riders, Dragon Drive, Mario Kart World, Bonanza, Hyrule Warriors, Age of Imprisonment, and Yoshi the Mysterious Book. I still think that's okay. He definitely like punched it up with the graphic, but even if you just showed Mario Kart World, DK Bonanza, Dragon Drive, Bonanza DLC, Age of Imprisonment, Air Riders, Fever, Yoshi, Pokopia, Fire Emblem, Raiders, and Dustbloods, I would still say that's a really solid 2025, 2026. And even then, we still don't know if they're going to release even more games for 2026. Does that make sense? They might have even more games in store for 2026 that we just don't know about yet. I would say this is a good lineup. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think that's fair. I think that's good. I think you could have just shown this and it would have been fine.
Drag and Drive isn't very good, so we're not going to count it. And also, all of these Switch 2 upgrades don't count because, well, they're just upgrades to Switch 1 games. However,
I wouldn't say they're not upgrade. Like, I think they're just DLC. I don't think they count as games. Like, they're not upgrade. Like, I'm counting Jamboree TV as DLC, not a standalone game. Does that make sense? Same with like Kirby Star-Crossed Worlds. Yeah, it's Switch 2 DLC for a game that released on the Switch 1. It's kind of like iffy, you know what I mean? I'd put that in the iffy zone. I wouldn't count it personally for a graphic. I would count DK Bonanza DLC because DLC for a Switch 2 game. I think that's fair. But I don't know if I count this. I don't know. Personally, it's a bit weird. I think that could go either or.
Even when you remove all of that stuff, every game that you could put an asterisk on, there are still over 10 Switch 2 exclusives that are releasing between now.
This is a much better graphic. Look at this. This looks sick.
Of course, we already had Mario Kart World and Bonanza, and then into 2026. There are so many.
People will look at this and tell you like the Switch 1 has obviously again the Switch 2 has no games. It's just funny slander, right? Which I always co-sign. But like if we're looking at this, if you're telling me this is like your Switch 2, I'm like this seems pretty cool. I'm okay with this. Like it's a bit of a game. Like now, granted, if you're talking about like system sellers, I would say what you got like a new Mario Kart game. Pokemon would be a system seller, but like it's on the Switch 1 as well, so you don't necessarily need to buy it. Like yeah, I would say Mario Kart World is probably the only like thing that's going to actively move systems. You need like a Smash game, a new Zelda, or a new Mario to move a system. And Mario Kart is probably the only one that. What I'm trying to say is, right now, could I convince Ozzy to buy a Switch 2? My brother Ozzy, who like is not really, he's a very casual gamer. You know what I mean? The only reason he's buying it is probably because of Mario Kart. I don't think I couldn't convince him to get DK Bonanza, even if that is one of the best games ever. He's not really that big on Pokemon lately these days, or if he was, probably Metroid. I don't think that's enough for him to buy a whole. Same with you see what I mean? None of these are like enough where I could probably convince my brother to drop the money on a Switch 2, except Mario Kart. But even then, it's just kind of Mario Kart, you know. In the end of the day, you know, it's not like a new 3D Mario where it's something new. So I can kind of get it from that perspective. I think we need a new Zelda Mario. Yeah, those will move systems. I think that's the crux of the issue. When people say the Switch 2 has no games, either they're slandering, which is based, or what they mean is that there's not really that bit like too many big hitters yet. Which is like we're in year 1, so I'm just like, I mean, DK being as big as you can make the argument. I would personally vouch for DKB being a reason to buy the Switch 2. I'm just saying from the outside looking in. I'm like using my brother Ozzy as like a baseline for the casual gamer. I don't think I could convince Ozzy to get DK Bonanza, even if I do tell him it's my game of the year. I'd say this game is really, really good. I could convince him to buy it when he gets to Switch 2. I'm probably not convincing someone to get DKB just for Switch. You know what I mean? There's a difference. You could probably convince someone to buy a Switch 2 for Mario Kart, because you know what you're getting with Mario Kart. It's a lot of fun. DKB though, I don't like DK just doesn't have that much like force, you know? Unfortunately. It's unfortunate. Anyone who has a Switch 2 and not getting this is crazy. Absolutely insanity. But yeah, you know what I mean?
Switch 2 exclusives that honestly I'm having trouble to think if there's ever been any console that has ever had this many exclusives from first party, except for like, you know, the NES with all the black box games that released. We had Mario Kart World, then Bonanza, then we had Drag and Drive, which I know some people don't want to count it, but objectively it does count, especially if we compare it to the Switch 1.
I haven't played it in a bit, but
you know, 1-2 Switch.
I want to go for another couple of rounds,
right? We would count that, so I would say we would count that and Welcome Tour personally, but even for the sake of the argument, let's not count Welcome Tour for some reason. We won't count Pokemon because that's on
I think, listen, I'm not counting Welcome Tour. All I'm saying, listen, Bo, all I'm saying, as somebody who owns a Switch 2 and who actually has Welcome Tour, because you guys fucking bought it for me, I am not counting Welcome Tour, okay? Like, objectively, say it with me, Clark, objectively, it's a game on the Switch 2 that is exclusive. I'm not counting it, okay?
Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, Kirby Air Riders, Mario Tennis Fever, Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, Splatoon Raiders, Pokemon Pokopia, Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, and the Duskbloods from Software. That is a substantial lineup to have already released a couple of those games, but also have all of these games announced for the holiday season and into next year when it's only September. We all know how Nintendo operates, unless we have amnesia now. Nintendo waits until they're close to releasing a game to announce it normally. We saw that, of course, yesterday with Mario Tennis Fever. That game's coming out in just a few months. But then we we also saw some games that are a little bit further out, like Pokemon Pocopia and Splatoon Raiders. Well, that was announced, and we don't have an exact window, but presumably is a 2026 game. By my count, that is 11 Switch 2 exclusives.
And I think, just to touch upon what you said earlier, I think that just goes to show like the drawback of Nintendo's sort of philosophy of announcing a game when it's like at most a year out. I think that's a good strategy personally, because you'll see a cool game, be like, oh, when do I get to play it? And it's like, only in 2 months? Yeah, let's go! But like, obviously, in order to hype someone to buy a system in the future, it doesn't quite work, does it? Because like right now, they could be working on like the next 3 Mario. And we won't know until like maybe less than a year till it comes out. Does that make sense? So when we Smash, we just won't know these things. They tend to like wait until there's like a year, at most a year and a half. You know what I mean? Which is, again, it works for like keeping us on because like, yeah, we're going to get to play this next year. But yeah, I think that's just one of the drawbacks of their style.
Releasing roughly in the first 12 months. Maybe you extend that a little bit beyond if Splatoon is like a later summer game next year. Same with Pokemon Pocopia. And, 12 if you include Welcome Tour, which I personally think you should if you count 1-2 Switch as a Switch 1 game, because that is also a tech demo. 12 games in roughly the first year, not even counting everything else going on, not counting any Switch 2 editions, not counting any of the free patches, and most importantly, not counting Metroid Prime or Pokemon.
It's both going to mention like the important bit, which is saying the Switch 2 has no games, just kind of funny. I'll be real with you, man. Like, yes, you're proving that it has games, which is good. I'm glad you are. But it's also just kind of funny.
There has been this idea that if a game is not truly like 100% exclusive, it doesn't count as a game and it's not a system seller. I do not know where this narrative came from.
I think that's a fair assessment to make. If a game is on 2 platforms, well, it's hardly going to be the reason someone buys the new platform. Like, yeah, there's probably going to be some people that won't buy a Switch 2 for Legend Zelda because you can just buy it on the Switch 1. I could see like a good chunk of people doing that. I don't know, I don't find it as funny because the PS5 legit, you can kind of exclusive on your hand compared to the Switch 2. Yeah, but like, it's still funny though. I'll be real. You're not gonna, guys, I'm just saying, hey, listen, maybe our sense of humors don't align. You're never convincing me the Switch 2 has no games is not funny. Because maybe that statement isn't funny, but seeing someone fall for it and falling for the rage bait is very funny. The resulting rage bait from the conversation from is always funny, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, like, this makes no sense. Breath of the Wild was different because no one had a Wii. That's actually different. But with this one, yeah, like loads of people have a Switch 1, you know?
Back when the PS4 released and stuff like The Last of Us Remastered came out and like Tomb Raider and all these PS3 games, GTA 5, when all these PS3 and 360 games started getting remastered for PS4, there wasn't this idea that, oh, no one's going to want to buy the PS4 because the biggest game is GTA 5 and The Last of Us Remastered. No, people bought that console, and those games ended up being some of the best-selling PS4 games, even though the early years of PS4 really didn't have that much.
I think the difference is those 2 games came out like very late in the PS3's lifespan, and it kind of showed. That's the difference, I think, with The Last of Us and GTA. I played GTA 3 GTA 5 on the PS3. That shit ran like ass. I'll be real with you. That shit ran atrociously. So if you're telling me, like, was it 1 year later you could get, like, those at the PS4 version, like that, with the game was actually made for? Yeah, and also it wasn't backwards compatible, which also is another big factor too, I was going to mention. So yeah, I think like the Switch 1 is backwards compatible firstly. I could see someone who even has a Switch 2 just buying the Switch 1 version just to save $10, you know?
In 2017, that the exclusive lineup there really started to ramp up. The same thing can be said of PS5, which is when I started seeing this idea of like, oh, if a game is not exclusive, it doesn't count towards the list, right? PS5 has no games is something I've seen parroted literally thousands of times over the past 5 years. And I do think there is certainly some room for criticism of Sony's first-party lineup. Of course, they had the whole live service initiative that completely failed. And those first couple of years, yeah, the games were on PS4. God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, even something like Gran Turismo 7. Most of the tentpole exclusives on PS5 were on PS4, and then the games that were PS5 exclusive, like Spider-Man 2 and Returnal, those ended up going to PC. So that's where the entire PS5 has no games narrative came from. But then you actually look at the reality of the situation and how these consoles and these games sell, where the PS5, at least for those first couple of years when there were no true exclusives, it was the fastest selling PlayStation console of all time. I think it might still be. It's certainly on track to outsell the PS4, which is already the second best selling PlayStation console, and God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West. All of these games sold best on PS5 despite being on PS4. So objectively, those games, like God of War Ragnarok, that was a PS5 system seller. I am seeing people in my Discord server, but also on social media, say that Pokemon Legends EA, and to a lesser extent Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, do not count as Switch 2 games because no one's going to buy a Switch 2 to play these games because they already have a...
I think people will. I think if there's one thing that makes it like... Because obviously someone said, oh, as if like a Switch 1 version of PLZ isn't going to run like ass. So I could see someone buying on the Switch 2 so they have the version that doesn't run like shit. I feel like it's very different with PlayStation though. At least the PS4 to the PS5 is because I know like a lot of like games that run on the PS4 now that like are on the PS5 too. Like just run terribly. So I could see someone literally just buying a PS5 just to have their upgraded PS4. Like for example, my fiance still has a PS4. It takes her ages to load up into a game of Overwatch, ages to load up into anything of like Fortnite, Rainbow Six, like all those multiplayer games that you like had a lot of fun playing with the PS4 have kind of moved past the PS4, if that makes sense. So I could see someone not just buying a PS5 to buy like, oh, the better version of like a God of War game or something, the more advanced version, but to like play the games that they were playing on the PS4 just better. And because there's so many like good there's a big multiplayer ecosystem on the other two consoles like Xbox and Sony. Those also factor in people upgrading their console more so than the Switch. I feel like there's a little bit of a difference there. I don't know how much it factors into it, but I could definitely see that happening. I'd say they count enough, more so despite being an option for both consoles. Getting the Switch 2 version essentially gives you the Switch 1 version by playing on the OG Switch anyways. Does it? Oh, okay, that's interesting. I don't actually know that.
They can play them on Switch 1. Why would they buy a Switch 2 to play these games? If you do not think that Pokemon Legends EA is a system seller for the Switch 2, I don't know if you've just never paid attention.
Nintendo fans don't care about it before. Yeah, I feel like that's a bit of a factor. Although maybe I'm just grasping at straws. I feel like that's also a factor into it. Although again, I can't prove anything. Exclusivity matters, but the publishers themselves, not us. Even then, if the game's good, people will buy it regardless. I'd say so, yeah.
How people buy video game consoles or how much people are foaming at the mouth for Pokemon. I personally am excited for the game, but that wasn't really until recently when I went hands-on with it at PAX West. I think the game...
I think what will be interesting, actually, to follow up on this conversation is, when it comes to the games that are on Switch 1 and Switch 2, so Metroid Prime, PLZ, it'll be interesting to see what the sales are like, and how it correlates to, like, the Switch 2 sales. Like, for example, did the Switch 2 have a noticeable spike in sales when Metroid Prime came out? Because it was people buying it on the Switch 2, or like same with Pokemon, for example. It'd be interesting to see if like there's a correlation there, you know, like a notable correlation. Because I can imagine like a couple of people buying like, okay, let me upgrade to a Switch 2 so I can get the best version of Metroid, best version of it. But like, will it like bump up the sales like a noteworthyly high amount? That'll be interesting to find out later down the line.
Looks okay. I mean, I love
because like, for me, I just don't think it will be the case.
Visually, I'm not super impressed by Legends EA, and the gameplay's a little weird. So it's not even a game I'm like through the roof excited for. But you know, I'm interested in it. But if you think that game is not a Switch 2 system seller, here's my question for you: why is Nintendo selling a bundle for the Switch 2 with it? Because they know it's a system seller. That is a bigger system seller than probably Donkey Kong Bonanza.
I agree. I think Pokemon is a big system seller. Again, I think the fact that it's also on Switch 1 will hamper the fact that it's a system seller, but I do believe it's a system seller. Gen 10, now Pokemon Gen 10, that's going to be the system seller. Holy shit.
To you. That's
going to be the thing that gets people buying a Switch.
On the Switch 2. Yes, it's on Switch 1. But, well, we saw what happened with Scarlet and Violet. Those games ran like doo-doo on the Switch 1. When we get on the other end of 2025, I promise you, Legends EA will be the second best-selling Switch 2 game, at least for a time, just behind Mario Kart World, ahead of Bonanza, and then eventually it'll fall because it is just one game, it's not a pair of games, and then Generation 10 will release, and all these other exclusives will release. But Legends EA is the big holiday game for Nintendo this year. It's not Prime 4. Prime 4 will sell Switch 2 units to the very hardcore Nintendo fan base, but it is just a Metroid game. These games do never, you know, sell incredibly well. I mean, they certainly do well for what they are.
It's just a Metroid game, guys. I get it. My scrimbly just isn't good enough. Yeah. Metroid's big to me. It's big to me, though, bro.
Kirby Air Riders, I think, will do pretty well as well, but once again, kind of this weird niche racing battle game that I don't think necessarily will move units. And then Hyrule Warriors, of course, is cool. I like Warriors games, but I know they're not for everybody, but it is a Zelda IP, so that'll certainly help a little bit. So when you're looking at this holiday lineup, the system seller is Legends EA, and I do not understand this idea that because it's on Switch 1, people will not buy it. We literally have receipts to prove that a game being cross-gen does not matter. Look at God of War Ragnarok. Look at Horizon Forbidden West. Look at all of those.
As I said, I think those are good cases to bring up, definitely. Does that same sort of thinking translate to Nintendo fans, though? Again, it'll be interesting to see the numbers. I think you should make a follow-up video, Bo Talk, just going like, ha, proved you all right. They did result in sales, you know? I think you should. Listen, what I'm saying is that if the graph proves you right, make a follow-up video. Do a victory lap, broski. I'd do a victory lap if I were you.
Those PS5 games that people claim the PS5 doesn't have, those games sold the PS5. That is undisputable, and we know Nintendo is going for that same strategy with Legends EA because, well, they're bundling the damn game with the console. Clearly, they know it's going to be a system seller. They wouldn't just do that arbitrarily. But also, and I definitely want to talk about this in this video, why are Nintendo fans, and I say this as a YouTuber, but why are Nintendo fans so obsessed with a game being a system seller? Why does that add more perceived value to you as the gamer, and why does that get you more excited for a game? I understand one of the big tentpoles like a 3D Mario.
I think it's brother, you're dealing with parasocial Percy's. You're dealing with, this is the part, listen, Bo, this is the part where you don't ask questions, you just go, and you just move on. That's what you do. You say this, you laugh, and you laugh again. That's what you do. All right, that's what you do. Because as far as I'm concerned, a game being a system seller doesn't. I've already bought a Switch 2. I don't care. You know what I mean? I care about games being good, not necessarily system sellers. Games being system sellers is something for Nintendo to figure out. Do you know what I mean? I don't give a shit about that. I got games. You know. So when you meet these people, just point and laugh. Just point and laugh at them. No, instead just ask them. Sorry, I didn't know you were on the board of directors. Like, what are you, like the chief financial officer for like Nintendo
or Animal Crossing? But I wanted to read this reply from a fellow YouTuber, Super Mario T, on Twitter. He replied to me, and this comment, I think, encapsulates perfectly what I've seen so much in the past, like 6 or 7 months regarding Nintendo. And let me preface this by saying, I love talking about sales data. As you all know, I'm always making videos on their financial reports, talking about how much a game sells. I think it's a lot of fun, but we're getting to the point where I think people are letting it hamper their enjoyment of Nintendo Directs, but also make them look at the lineup way more analytically than we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to look at the game. If it's fun, we want to buy it.
Yes,
if it doesn't look up our alley, we do not buy it. It's as simple as that. We don't need to be looking at every game through the lens of, okay, but is Yoshi in the Mysterious Book going to sell a console? But I wanted to read this reply on Twitter here. He said, I know people hate devil's advocates, but while there are a lot of good games on the horizon, I find it hard to believe any of them will push Switch 2 units and sell really well amongst the majority of consumers. Almost all of them are either cross-gen or not that broadly appealing. So
yeah, again, this is the part where you just go, ah! Try it with me, bro. Try it with me, Bo. Try it with me. Try it. Laugh at him. This guy cares about Nintendo's financials. Ah! Hey! As far as I'm concerned, I kind of want Nintendo to stumble a bit so they give us those 3DS Wii era prices. Do you know what I mean? If anything, this is like the ultimate time to not care about their financials. Do you know what I mean? So if this person cared about their financials in a time where you probably shouldn't, because that way they'd make the games more affordable again. Bruv, laugh at him. Laugh at the broski. Laugh at him.
Oh, we already talked about the cross-gen thing. I think it is
do Nintendo's laundry. Do Koizumi's laundry at Super Mario
not
T.
A system seller. I mean, it's
do
a
his
Pokemon
laundry
game. That is the most broadly appealing thing that Nintendo releases, aside from Mario Kart, which once again is already out. But even beyond just the cross-gen and Pokemon thing, why are we so obsessed with the idea that a game has to be...
So, Nintendo, please, I'm begging you, justify my Switch 2 purchase. Where are the video... Bruv! Okay, you were close, Bo. You said can't take these people seriously, man. Like, add a Lumphao. Next time you quote to one of these people, add like a Lumphao and like one of these. Add like one of these, okay? Add one of these, broski. Because I'm telling you, as far as I'm concerned, I've got DKB, I've got Pokemon and Metroid to look forward to. I've got the best Mario Kart game ever made, and it's not even close. And you got what, like fucking... games next got fucking, was it Duskbloods? If you're asking me, I'm interested in playing a Souls-like game now. I'll give that game a try. Rhythm Heaven. What else we got? We got fucking games and more games. Splatoon Raiders as well. I'm interested in Splatoon Raiders. I'll give that a try. Tell me that. But like, I'm interested. Do you know what I mean?
Be broadly appealing to the majority of consumers to be exciting. That's not how Nintendo has ever operated. There's never been a lineup where every single game they release is going to be, a 10 million plus seller. That's not the reality that we live in. That's not how the Switch 1 first year was. Certainly not. But let's play along. Let's talk about what games that they have announced right now are system sellers. Games that are broadly appealing and will move units.
Just
so
Mario
we already
Kart.
have Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza. Mario Kart World.
Mario Kart, 3D Mario, 3D Zelda, Smash, Pokemon. Those are like the... I think we talked about this some other time earlier, but those are like the 5 series/franchises that I'm comfortable saying, okay, this will move gangbusters of units, you know? Everything else can be like a good purchase once you have the system. But like, these are the 5 things where I think from a casual, hardcore, like from every perspective of Nintendo, you're excited for these 5 types of games, you know? Definitely.
I know the Nintendo like hardcore community will tell you that game is dead. Let's be real with ourselves, guys. It's a Mario Kart game.
Yep.
I agree. They should have had an update in the direct yesterday.
Maybe no, Kirby's not. Listen, this is the part where you guys like argue with me about no, but Moresty, but my franchise. Metroid, definitely not. Kirby, I would say Kirby's close. I would say Kirby's like a close one, but no, Kirby's not a system seller.
Thing, you know,
I can't convince my brother Ozzy to buy a system for a fucking Kirby game. Nor am I convincing any more casual gaming friends or what have you, family members. Not happening.
Life into it, but it is Mario Kart.
Happening.
That game is probably going to sell 30 or 40 million copies. It will become one of the best-selling games of all time, you know, top 20 or whatever. But then you also have Donkey Kong Bonanza, which, for all intents and purposes, is an exclusive 3D Mario game. I know it's not literally Mario, but it is a 3D platformer by the same team that makes 3D Mario. So that
but like again, I'm not saying this is a system seller because most people don't like. This isn't 3D Mario. Literally, DK Bonanza's biggest flaw is that it's not a Mario game. Literally, what Nintendo should have done was call this Mario Odyssey 2. The game is the same, by the way. The game is the same. It's just called Mario Odyssey 2. This would move systems, right? I'm telling you, like that's the big issue with DKB is that just like the name Donkey Kong Bonanza doesn't like invoke the same wide appeal as like Super Mario fucking Galaxy 3 or Odyssey 2, you know? That's just unfortunate. That's just unfortunate. It really is. Because this is, if you're asking me, this is a system seller in all but name only.
Of course, is a system seller.
But like,
and then
nah,
the next major release, not counting Dragon Drive, after that is Pokemon, which, once again, cross-gen. It's a new Pokemon game on their new console. They've never had a Pokemon game in year 1. That is going to be absolutely massive, especially in Japan for this console. Then you have Hyrule Warriors. I don't think that will necessarily move the needle.
No, I don't think
Kirby
so.
Air Riders, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. You know, we're talking maybe a couple people buy the console for that specific game, but they are not the broadly appealing games that Super Mario T is talking about here. Neither is Mario Tennis Fever, neither is Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. And then we get down to the final row of 2026 games, which Tomodachi Life not confirmed for Switch 2. I think there will be a Switch 2 edition, in which case that will end up being a system seller. Frankly, even if there's not a Switch 2 edition.
No. Tomodachi Life. And listen, I'm willing to be proven wrong. Don't you fucking look me in the eye. You're looking me in the eye and you're telling me Tomodachi Life? Yeah, hang on. I want to hear that again. Broski.
Look, and then we get down to the final row of 2026 games, which Tomodachi Life not confirmed for Switch 2. I think there will be a Switch 2 edition, in which case that will end up being a system seller. Frankly,
listen again. Show me the sales afterwards. Like if there's like you said you're a sales numbers guy. If when it comes out, make the video. Make the video. Somerset was wrong and is a bitch ass bitch. I'll watch it. But like, didn't it sell really well on this? Again, guys. We're literally I love how every single fucking time we have this conversation, you guys ignore my phrase. I didn't say a seller. I said a system. Is anybody gonna go? I am going to buy a Switch 2 to buy fucking Tomodachi Life 2. It's not how, guys. You never listen to me. I've been saying this for years, and every single time we have this conversation, no one listens to me. How much did it sell? Let's look at the numbers. If it didn't sell like 50 million, you're joking me. You people are having a fucking laugh. You people are actually insane. I want everyone to apologize right fucking now in my chat. I want you to be 7 million, and you're gonna say system seller. System seller. Listen to the words, system seller. I'll show you what a fucking system seller is, all right? Super Mario Odyssey. Now this is a system seller. This will move systems. This is nice to have, but won't sell systems, all right? Fuck out of here.
Even if there's not a Switch 2 edition, a lot of people will buy the Switch 2 just to play that game on their Switch because, well, I think there's a lot of lapsed Animal Crossing fans that maybe sold their Switch back in 2020 after they got done with the game. Tomodachi Life, we already know is going to be huge based on the social media reaction. That game is going to sell a lot of copies. I think that is a system seller, even if it doesn't.
I am ready to be proven wrong. This is going to sell 5 million, 5 to 10 million, which is good. Not a system seller, though.
Have a Switch 2 version, but I do think it will have one. But not even counting that, not counting, of course, Rhythm Heaven. I wish Rhythm Heaven was that big, but it's not. But then we get to 2 that I do think people are really underselling. Splatoon Raiders is a new Splatoon game. That is one of Nintendo's most broadly appealing franchises. Every Splatoon game so far is sold.
Splatoon Raiders, huh? Does that have enough to sell systems? That's the thing. And again, it's a spin-off. It's not like a mainline game. Maybe Splatoon 4. Splatoon 3 sales. 11 million. Okay, that's good. What about 2? 13 million. Okay, so it's sold numbers. It's sold numbers. Is a spin-off going to be enough to like get the people going though? I'll say if this sells like 15 million. I'll be like, do you know what? I'd be a bit more comfortable putting it in the camp.
Sold over 10 million copies. This is an exclusive Switch 2 Splatoon game. Once again, presumably coming out next year.
Right now, I'm erring on the side of no.
Since they announced it back in June. And then Pokemon Pokopia. This is a Pokemon Animal Crossing game. This was announced in the Nintendo Direct yesterday. I know a lot of Nintendo fans kind of separate Pokemon.
Listen, firstly, it's a Pokemon game that isn't mainline, and generally these tend not to sell as well. Like if we go like, what's it? Hang on, let me try Pokemon Mystery Dungeon DX. Oh boy. So like, yeah, generally spin-off games. Now, granted, this was a remake. They tend not to sell as well. Spin-offs games tend not to do that well when it comes to Pokemon as a whole. And also, if you're saying like it's Pokemon and Animal Crossing, you have to understand that even though Animal Crossing sold like gangbusters, I think how much did it sell? Animal Crossing New Horizons sales. Jesus fucking Christ, lad. I think we kind of know why everyone got into this. Let's be real here. I feel like this is one of the few games where you could say the state of the world helped it like a good fucking chunk. I feel like these sales would be like half if it wasn't for COVID. Like at most, you're selling like 24 million units if it was if we were living in like normal times and not COVID times. So you don't have the COVID bump, and it's a Pokemon spin-off, which generally tend not to do very well. I would say again, let's have a look at Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Sky. Yeah, like even this one, which is like most people would say is the best Mystery Dungeon game. I would say that 1.5 million, you know, and it's on a DS as well. Where like if we look at like Pokemon Platinum, for example, if we look at Pokemon like Diamond Pearl, you see the difference there in the numbers, like 17 million versus like 1 million, you know. So yeah, spin-offs tend not to do that well. Plus, it's Animal Crossing in a non-COVID time.
Pokemon in their minds, and it's not quite the same as the rest of Nintendo's franchises. But Pokemon Pokopia is, without a doubt, a system seller.
Yeah, he's coping. Yeah, bro, so you're coping. This will get, at most, 4 million. Let's have a look at Pokemon Mystery. Actually, hang on. Let me put a pin in it. Dungeon. Time Darkness. Sales. 4 million. Oh, so there we go. Okay, so yeah, since that was a third version, you're right. 4 million. So about nearly 5 million. I could see Pokopia selling about this. Not a system. I think it's fair to say, though, not a system seller, right? Absolutely not a system seller. What about, what other ones? Was there any Mystery Dungeon games on Switch? Could pull up SV. I think SV sold like 20-something. See, again, this is a system seller. No, I underestimate how, what cozy games will buy. If you mention something like Stardew or Animal Crossing, people will eat them up. Yeah, because it's Stardew and Animal Crossing. Both of those games have like years of built-up goodwill amongst their communities as like the definitive game of their genre. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to spill off to any game in the genre, if that makes sense, right? I don't believe that. I don't believe that in the slightest. Generally, a game has to be... A game can sell well if it's kind of based on another, that's true, for like familiarity reasons, but I feel like it kind of also has to hold its own too. I don't think like just being similar to another genre is enough. Absolutely not. I don't believe that in the slightest. Again, I could be proven wrong, but this game is going to sell like 5 million at most, and that's kind of it. Because I think one thing people underestimate, and I think I talked about this last time, I think people underestimate how willing Pokemon fans are to like play other genres. Like as soon as you take the main formula of Pokemon and spin it around, Pokemon fans aren't happy, right? People love the spin-offs tend to get a lot of love, but it's usually from like a small dedicated subset as opposed to the larger base at large, right? I would say the general large chunk of the Pokemon community want the formula to stay as similar as it possibly can for as long as possible. They love that core formula. Heck, I love that core formula. But the spin-offs, while they have their fervent good fan base, aren't nearly as big, you know? Like, what's it? Mystery Dungeon, Ranger, Coliseum XD. These have their own big fan bases. I'm part of the XD Coliseum one, obviously. But yeah, they don't sell nearly as well. Pokemon Unite is another one as well. That tends not to get like this kind of like, when was the last time you heard someone talk about Pokemon Unite? Granted, I don't really see a lot of my algorithms, but like I generally tend not to. Yeah, so even Tabiyoshi says, yeah, there's a reason BDSP got received as well as it is. Yeah, literally, it's like, BDSP was, what's it, BDSP How much did that sell? Yeah, look at game. Literally, one of the worst Pokemon games released in modern history, but it sold 15 million because it was a remake of an older game that just did like the traditional formula. This is as close as you get to a traditional formula Pokemon game in the modern day. That's my proof, gamers. I've literally proved it. BDSP, any Pokemon fan doing a list of all the games will say BDSP is one of the worst games ever made. 15 million doesn't lie. And even Matthew in the chat, I don't know if Matthew's in the chat today. Matthew literally just said, hey, I just wanted to play a traditional Pokemon game that was a remake of my childhood, and I got that, and that was it. Because that's at the end of the day, that's all Pokemon fans want. They want that core formula, and that's it. I'm telling you, that's how it is. I know Pokemon, guys. I know Pokemon. I'm a Pokemon guy. Crossing over to other genres, should I say? Genres of video games just doesn't work well for Pokemon. It doesn't.
This is not a recipe for success right there. They're literally making a Pokemon Animal Crossing game. And while I think visually, once again, underwhelming, as per usual for Pokemon, the people that play these types of games don't really care. This, combined with Tomodachi Life, is going to sell a lot of Nintendo Switch 2 units next year because
it's not.
Pokemon Pocopia is actually a Switch 2 exclusive. People are really sleeping on this one.
It looks kind of nice, but even me as like a loyal Pokemon fan, I can't really say I'm that interested in this. I'll be real with you.
Don't really know why, other than just people not caring about Pokemon, which I mean, that's fine. But when it comes time for this game to release, I think we're going to see it blowing up in a way that, not obviously like we saw Animal Crossing blowing up.
Could be proven wrong, but
very specific circumstances. But it's going to be very popular, just like we saw with Fantasy Life earlier this year on Switch 1 and then on Switch 2. Even that, without any Nintendo IP tied to it, did extremely well on Nintendo platforms. Pocopia and Splatoon Raider.
Fantasy Life? What's Fantasy Life? Hang on. Is this the game he's referring to? Fantasy Life, the girl who steals time? Is that the game he's referring to? If so, like, again, 1.2 million is good. I'm proud of him. System seller, though? Again, system seller's a big claim. Like you can't be a system seller on like 1.2 million. Proud of him. Good stuff. Happy for you boys. Not a system seller though.
There's are very broadly appealing system sellers. And then yeah, you do have the games that cater more towards a specific audience. I would actually argue that the Duskbloods is a pretty broadly appealing game, not a Nintendo IP, but it is a Switch 2 exclusive. From Software games sell tens of millions of copies now.
This is a game I'm comfortable calling a system seller because like FromSoft fans are like some of the most like fervent fans of all time. Do you know what I mean?
Even Elden Ring Night Rain, which is a multiplayer game just like the Duskbloods.
Like people literally bought a PS4 just to this day, chat, I want to be clear. I still see the occasional person begging Sony to put Bloodborne on PC. That's how insane these people are. Like truly, that's how insane these people are. Like Bloodborne like sold consoles. I don't even give a shit about Souls games, just to clarify. But like I can't stop fucking hearing about this. No official sales figures. Again, even though remember this is a PlayStation 4 exclusive, by the way, guys, and it sold 7 million. Imagine if this shit was on PC. Good lord, man. These guys are like loyal to like a fucking fault, you know what I mean?
Sold a lot of copies. The Duskbloods is going to get a lot of people on board with the Switch 2 next year. Fire Emblem, not a system seller, but catering to a very specific niche of Nintendo fans. That is a great game to have in the first 12 to 18 months. And then you have all these other games rounding out the lineup, so there's basically a pretty big game every single month, like Mario Tennis Fever, which will sell probably 3 to 5 million copies. Yeah. Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, which will sell millions of copies. Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, which will sell millions of copies. Prime 4, which is a hardcore Nintendo game fans have been waiting literally, almost 2 decades for. Same thing with Kirby Air Riders. We never thought we would get a Kirby Air Ride sequel.
Again, all of these games are going to sell like a couple million. I would say like anywhere from 3 to at most 10. But again, not system sellers.
I just struggle, even removing every Switch 2 edition and every, port remaster, Galaxy 1 and 2, removing all that stuff. How could you possibly look at this lineup and think there's not enough? How could you possibly look at this lineup and say the Switch 2 has no games?
Listen, Bo, you've been Bing, like I'll say it one more time, you've been Bing Wahooed. You've been Bing Wahooed, all right? As far as the Bing Wahoo contingent of Nintendo fans are concerned, there is only one system seller on this console, which is Mario Kart. That's it, broski. You've been Bing Wahooed. There's no 3D Zelda, there's no new 3D Zelda, there's no new 3D Mario, there's no new Smash, and there's Pokemon is cross-gen. That's literally it. You've been Bing Wahooed, honestly.
What we're going to do is compare it to the Switch 1 lineup, because I'm getting a lot of responses like this one right here.
Okay, can I see a graphic for Switch 1 2017, 2018? That'd be cool.
There is no way y'all were there for 2017 if you think this is what the first year of a Nintendo Switch sequel
show me, finally.
Okay, so taking a
Okay, here we go. Fucking A, all right. So we got Breath of the Wild, system seller, 100%. Mario Kart 8, I would also say is a system seller too, because like obviously now we know in hindsight Mario Kart ended up selling gangbusters. I remember this is like the best Mario Kart game ever made at the time that was locked behind like a shitty console that no one bought. So even if this was a port, I would still say this is 100% system sellers. Both of these are system sellers. So you got like, think about it, within the first month of Switch 2, you had 2 system sellers right there. Right there, perfect. And then you had like an anticipated sequel to Splatoon a couple months later, which again, Splatoon 1 had like a very loyal big fan base on the Switch, on the Wii U. And that was the Wii U. You move it to the Switch, people are always going to buy this game. This was always going to be big. ARMS, a bit of a dud, obviously. This one, yeah, a seller, not a system seller. Seller, not a system seller. Mario, bro, you're actually laughing. You're actually laughing. Are you telling me in the first year of the Switch, you had 3? I'm saying there was 3 system sellers. Like, I would say the Switch one is stronger. Like, in terms of, if we're looking at it from Bing Wahoo contingent, the Bing Wahoo contingent think this is stronger. As far as I'm concerned, I don't mind. I'm just going to duplicate the tab real quick. Let me find the other graphic.
Look at this lineup and
yeah, like as far as I'm concerned, I as a Nintendo fan, like I like Nintendo's games, not just Bing Wahoo. This is a decently good lineup. I would say if I was to give this a score, I'm giving it. What would you give it as a score? Because as far as I'm concerned, you've got what? Mario Kart, love Mario Kart. GameCube games, that's always sick. The definitive versions of the Zelda games, I suppose, is good stuff. Bonanza, amazing stuff. Dragon Drive, I like Dragon Drive. I wouldn't say I love it, but I like it, so that's appealing to me. Kirby DLC was sick. Pokemon, gonna be nice to play the Pokemon game in this definitive form. Galaxy 1+2, again, I don't give a shit about it, but like if you haven't played it, this is the best way to play the game. Air Riders looks really good. I was not convinced with Air Riders, but I haven't seen it direct. I am gonna buy this day one. Metro, of course. Tennis Fever, I'm probably gonna skip over unless there's a sale. Virtual Boy, Lumphao. Mega Dimension, be there day one. Wonder DLC, I've always wanted Wonder DLC. I even said this. I literally said Wonder DLC and we got it. Yoshi, probably going to skip that one by. Tomodachi Life, I'm going to skip that one by. Champions, I'm going to give Champions a try. Rhythm Heaven, I'm also going to give that a try. Raiders, if it looks good, I'll buy it. Pocopia, probably going to skip that. Fire Emblem, I skipped too many Fire Emblem games, okay? If I skip one more Fire Emblem game, they're going to take my Fire Emblem license, so I need to buy this. And Duskbloods genuinely seems interesting. I think if... The one thing I'm looking for is there an easy mode? I wish I was joking. I just hope it's not dog shit, like, hard. I couldn't get into Elden Ring because it's just too hard. It's too hard. I'm sorry. I'm baby. So if it turns out there's like it's like a good beginner. If this is a good beginner FromSoft game, this seems like it's going to be up my alley. If this is like you have to be like a FromSoft Andy to play it, I'm probably not going to like, you know what I mean? I'm probably not going to buy this one. But like overall, this is a really strong lineup from a non-Bing Wahoo perspective, you know? If I look at it from Bing Wahoo, this is better. But if I'm looking at it from me, I've got what? Breath of the Wild, my favorite game ever made. Mario 8, that's cool. Splatoon 2 is cool. Didn't really get into Kingdom Battle. Didn't really get into Pokken. Odyssey, amazing, obviously. Fire Emblem Warriors, not really. Xenoblade, not really. Bayonetta, I'll say Bayonetta 3 and then 1 they released as well. And then Dragon Quest Builders, I think it was. Yeah, I would say I'd much rather this. As a Nintendo fan, this has more like overall stuff, but obviously this one has high highs because of Breath of the Wild. Again, this one has like the stronger start because of fucking... This one wins because of Zelda. I'm not even joking. This one wins because of Zelda. But this is like... I'd give this like a... 7.5, I want to say. And I'd also give this a 7.5, but this is also being hard carried by Breath of the Wild. I want to make it clear. Without Breath of the Wild, this lineup would be like a... Maybe like a 6.5. I'll be real. Like Breath of the Wild and Odyssey are like carrying these two. If I'm being honest, and Mario Kart, they're carrying a whole fucking lineup, broski. It's nice to have a lineup of games that aren't carried by like 3. You know?
At Switch 1's year 1, so we're going from March 3rd, 2017 through to 2018. We had 1-2 Switch, Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart 8, ARMS, Splatoon 2, Mario Rabbids, which they didn't publish, but we'll count it, especially if we're counting Duskbloods on the Switch 2, Pokken Tournament Deluxe, Fire Emblem Warriors, Super Mario Odyssey, and Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Now, to the people saying Switch 2 has no games, to the people discrediting something like Pokemon Legends ZA, or Prime 4 Beyond, or even something like Tomodachi Life, frankly, I ask you this. Do you know how many of these games are actually exclusive? Because if we play the same game of removing cross-gen releases or ports, or even games that we frankly feel are lesser in value, like a Welcome Tour or a Dragon Drive, This list becomes very small very quickly. The Legend of Zelda was on the Wii U. 1-2 Switch is a tech demo. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, also on the Wii U.
Yeah, I think, unfortunately, you bumped into the cataclysmic flaw, which is no one had a Wii U. I think we mentioned this earlier, didn't we, chat? In that I think it's very, very different when people say, what's the point of buying a Switch 2 version when I can get a Switch 1? Because and real quick, I don't think I need to show you guys the numbers, but remember, guys, we're dealing with 13, literally, if you have a Wii U, you're one of 13 million people on planet Earth that have a Wii U. Switch 1 sales. Yeah, broski, like, it's not even it's actually Bro, what are we? It's not even close. I would say this is easily, Bo, your weakest argument. It's not even bruv. It's literally 10, like, it's not even, it's actually unbelievable, broski. It's actually not even close.
Exclusive.
I wish I was joking.
One for what it was, but even then, it's not a game. Kart 8 Deluxe, also on the Wii U. ARMS, I'll give you that, but once again, that's not a broadly appealing title. That's a very niche fighting game.
No one
that's
played
still pretty well for
Breath
what
of
it
the
was, but even then, it's not a game people really regarded that highly. Splatoon 2, I would say that was the first big...
Breath of the Wild did sell 1 million on the Wii U. Did it? I'm genuinely shocked. So what, you telling me, like, what's it? What's like... That's like is that nearly like 10% of the entire Wii U base? I was like, what? 7% of all Wii U owners, like, owned fucking Breath of the Wild? That's a crazy percentage-wise, you know what I mean?
Exclusive game. Then you get Mario Rabbids, which did very well for Ubisoft because they sell their games for $10 half the time. Pokemon Tournament Deluxe, that's a Wii U game. Fire Emblem Warriors was on the 3DS. That wasn't exclusive to the Switch 2. So really what you're looking at for the first year of Switch 1 in terms of exclusive first-party Nintendo Switch software is Snipper Clips, ARMS, Splatoon 2, Mario Rabbids, Mario Odyssey, and Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Only 2 of those games, I would say, are broadly appealing system sellers, being Splatoon 2 and Super Mario Odyssey. And then in 2018, the first couple months didn't really have much in that first, 12-month period. Star Allies came out at the end of March of that year, so...
Again, I would say Breath of the Wild counts as a Switch one, I'll be honest with you.
5 to 86 actual Switch 1 exclusive games from Nintendo released in the first year of the Switch 1. And only 2 of those games are the broadly appealing system-selling exclusive.
Again, I think you're playing around with the numbers a bit. I think Breath of the Wild.
That
ignoring Breath of the Wild.
I think the Switch 2 should have, every single month. Comparing that to Switch 2, once again, it's not even close. Even if you don't count the Switch 2 editions, which you should, just looking at the bigger games, not counting Welcome to our Dragon Drive, we didn't count 1-2 Switch, so we won't count those. Mario Kart World...
Again, I don't necessarily... I think overall I agree with you. It's just, again, literally you proved it, chat. Literally... I love that you showed the graphic because we literally proved it in real time, chat. I'm so happy for you, Bo.
Mario Odyssey.
Because like you showed us. Look, this is more appealing to the Bing Wahooers. This is more appealing, I would say, in general. Like this is more like a variety of games. This is more Bing Wahoo. Like you can see it in real time, broski. Breath of the Wild and like literally 3D Zelda and 3D Mario year 1. Of course, people are gonna remember this lineup fondly. If you're telling me 3D Mario and 3D Zelda are not in year 1, of course people are going to go like, do you know what I mean? My question is, why is he trying to prove this specifically to the people online? I would say, while this definitely is a bit of a people online, I would say he's at least trying to like prove it with like facts and logic, if that makes sense. He's not just like literally yapping into a void of people that don't care for ad revenue. Be nice. At least he's like provided like graphs and stuff, which is at least a bit more editing nous than some of these people of these archetypes do, which I would give him props for that. But I would say overall, like yeah, I would say if you're genuinely bothered by the slander, like this slander, listen, you've literally proven in real time you're dealing with Bing Wahooers. Because like remove Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart. Let's say for example, this one has Mario Kart World, so we'll keep Mario Kart 8. Remove Zelda and like Odyssey. Like this lineup is. Like, let's say we remove Zelda from this one as well. It's not even close. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not even close. This is getting hard carried, broski. So if you're someone who genuinely is, like, had enough of the slander, just don't let it get to you, man. Just laugh at them. Laugh at them, laugh at them, laugh at them. I'm going to laugh at them, okay? Laugh at them with me, bro.
Warriors, Kirby Air Riders, Mario Tennis, Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, Splatoon Raiders, Pocopia, Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, Dusk Bloods. That's 10 games right there. And yeah, some of those will slip.
This is like the best kind of people on there, exactly. Because at least he's like showing like stats and facts and at least giving us some sound logic. But yeah, even then, this video ultimately does fail when it's just like, you're proving it to a contingent of people that aren't going to listen to you anyway. Like, I already knew this. Me and you already know this, but I think most of us here in the chat already knew this. At least we did learn something because we got to compare the Switch 1 games and the Switch 2 games back to back. Yeah, at least he's not fighting ghosts, because I have seen this sort of sentiment. I think the sentiment is kind of widespread. But yeah, overall, yeah, just ignore these people, broski. Or laugh at them.
June 5th, 2026. But even if you extend the window of Switch 1, 2018 wasn't this banger year that
oh, let's see. Have you got 2018 graph as well?
You had a Mario Tennis game in there, which is pretty comparable to Tennis Fever, obviously. And then you had ports of Captain Toad and Donkey Kong and Hyrule Warriors. It was almost all ports. And I love year one of the Switch 1 because, well, I like Nintendo games. And
again, I think the ports worked on the Switch 1 because, again, no one owned a Wii U. No one owned a Wii U, broski. Like, even if we were to just do, what's it? Let's try it right now, actually. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. Oh, literally, like, look. Like, it sold 1.3 on the Wii U, but then it sold, like, what's it? It also saw the Switch variant. So even something as like relatively like small fry as Captain Toad outsold the Wii. Let's say they didn't sell a Wii U version. Let's say they made this only a Switch version game. This probably would have sold way more. The fact that it only sold 1.77 million indicates that perhaps the people that already bought it weren't interested in buying it again. You know, does that make sense? Like, if this is a Switch 1 only game, no like Wii U game, this probably would have sold like 3 million basically. You know what I mean? It outsold it, brother. That's crazy. And we're dealing with just Captain Toad as well. I'm sure if we went to more games, I'm almost certain we could find the same trend, right?
Don't discredit Breath of the Wild for being on the Wii U.
Like, yeah, literally, like, and that's me, by the way. I bought Captain Toad Treasure Tracker on the Wii U, but like I have no interest in buying on the Switch. If it was just on the Switch, I probably would have bought on the Switch.
Enjoyed Breath of the Wild for what it was, but for some reason now we don't think like that anymore. Pokemon Legends EA doesn't count as a Switch 2 thing because it's on Switch 1. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, nah, my enjoyment of that is arbitrarily hampered because I know it's a Switch 1 game. I just don't...
Again, anybody who actually... Again, you're arguing with a shadow of someone that doesn't exist. If you have found someone that thinks about it that way, that's extremely weird. If you're asking me, I don't know, guys. I'm kind of happy that people who have a Switch 1 can also play the games I like. I know. Weird. So if you have bumped into someone like that, very strange. If you have made someone up, please stop punching ghosts. But yeah, as I said, if we're going with the logical answer, as we said, the Switch has had way more of an install base than the Switch 2, so that's where the sentiment comes from.
Understand how we got to this point. People did not used to think this way. Our brains did not used to be wired to only thinking that exclusives mattered. And it's just...
lost discourse poisoned, brother. Discourse poisoned. Sorry.
It's annoying,
you've been discourse
poisoned.
Oh, it's annoying, is it? Wow! No, guys, no! People online are annoying! I think there's the people online we're waiting for, chat. Guys, isn't it just annoying? It's like, if you're asking me, no. I can't say I care. If you're asking me why it's not annoying, chat, it's because I get shit like this. There's like a 5th tweet on my timeline. Hang on, what's this? What's this video? I got cooked. That guy got cooked. Is he done? And he reached the goal, and that guy got fucking mullet. That guy got fucking mullet. I'd be pissed if I was him. Okay, what's another tweet on my timeline? This. I tried to put. Hang on. I gained 1 follower. You are alone. I tried to put your real one, but it looks like you are alone. I just gained 1 follower. You are alone. See, my tweets are fire. My tweets are fire. In line from Popcorn, I just heard a girl say, "I've never seen a movie before." That'd be the kind of thing I would tweet. You know what I mean? That'd be kind of, if I heard someone say that. Oh, I saw this as well. This has been on my timeline. Mr. Beast getting punched by like Mike Tyson.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Look at him, the emotion. You can see the emotion. You can see the emotion goes back into his eyes. Jimmy's finally been set free. Look at him. He's like, okay.
I'm gonna take a punch from Mike.
I thought that was funny. I thought that was funny as hell. Oh no. Ready for week 2. You got one of the hardest last names in the world. Oh my god, her name is Miss Crippen. Hey, her name's Miss Crippen. Is she gonna do a crip walk? Oh my! Hey, she's about to do a crip walk right there, bruv. She's a gang affiliated teacher, yeah. Fuck it, hell. All right. That's pretty funny. Have we got one more? Let's see. Is there any more? I'm just scrolling past some like crazy shit. Oh shit, can you? Oh my god, look at this! Fun fact, you can get Shigarumi Moto in Street Pass B Plaza on the Nintendo. Can you? Hey, that's actually pretty cool. Just the guy, this is like me scrolling my feed. Okay, this is what I get. If you're ever wondering, Musty, what do you see on Twitter? This is the shit I see on Twitter. My Twitter feed is fire, okay? If your Twitter feed is just, why does Nintendo Switch have no games? Listen, give me your Twitter account, give me 1 hour, I will bend that algorithm to my fucking will. And I'll make you see funny shit posts and joyful posts, and that is it. I diagnose you with 200 cc's of Super Mario Broth, memes I found in my folder, shitpost.mp4, and maybe the occasional topical meme, okay? That's why I diagnose your formula with, okay?
This video is going to get a lot of heated comments down below. I know it's going to get a lot of dislikes because, well, hating on Nintendo is the popular thing. And
and then he did the classic, this is going to get a lot of dislikes, guys. This is going to get a lot of dislikes, guys. I mean, you weren't wrong, it kind of did, but like, fucking... Again, you're getting dislikes because you're talking to a contingent of people that don't want to listen to you. That's the... Never catch me making this kind of video.
Certainly will not defend a lot of their pricing practices with Galaxy 1 and 2 and the $50 Kirby amiibo, or even announcing that Legends ZA DLC now. I think all of these things are very easily avoidable missteps on their part in terms of, well, maybe make those amiibo a little bit cheaper. Maybe announce that DLC after the game releases. But it's just frustrating to see this widespread narrative online that there are no games.
Listen, broski, respectfully, shut the fuck up. Guys, it hurts me that people are saying mean things about my console. Listen, do yourself a favor. Just log off, broski. Log the fuck off. Log the fuck off, bro. That's actually a diabolical statement. Unbelievable. You're not Superman, broski. Oh, man. That's insane. Like, look at this I'm getting. Look at this I'm getting on my feed. This is where I got my driver's license. Who remembers this shit? Who remembers this shit? This was my childhood. Whose childhood was also this? Whose childhood was also this, guys? What am I getting? During a screening of Demon Slayer, a band of mariachis mistook the screening for Toy Story and showed up and started singing "You Got a Friend in Me." Really? Wrong theater, boys. Wrong theater. When bro's house is so ass, you just log off. Not gonna lie, even I would make a better house than this. I'm not gonna lie, this is kind of. The bed's in the They freaking killed him. What's this? Oh, the side duck. No, Psyduck, no, get out of it! The poor Psyduck. Oh no. Oh no. Mr. L? Oh my god. I've been getting these edits, by the way. I got Dry Jack Black, by the way, as a Dry Bowser, by the way, which is kind of funny. Oh, what's this one? Cosmic Chris Brown. Yeah, I'm just scrolling my Twitter feed raw, chat. I'm not even like hiding it and showing you the good stuff. This means scrolling my Twitter feed raw. I'm so confident I'm not gonna get any pornography on my feed because I don't like that shit, bro. Television is better for you than your phone. It's like vaping versus smoke. Honestly, true. I'm gonna give that a like. My Chinese mother and I always refer to my first ex as the Italian instead of her actual name. Today I learned that her Italian mother refers to me as the Chinese. Listen, it works both ways. It works both ways. What the hell is this? Oh, pink gold Anya Taylor-Joy? Real? Please don't put this idea into the universe. I'm gonna block this guy. I wanna block him. I love pink gold Peach, okay? I love pink gold Anya Taylor. Oh no, here it's Dry Jack! Guys, Dry Jack! Dry Jack! Oh man. Saw this in my recommended. I burst out. Well, he's a god. Oh, I love it. I love when people post funny ass thumbnails as well. Oh my god, hang on. I gotta show you my favorite one, chat. This has gotta be my favorite one. Don't move to Dubai. Why is she just another? Why did she just make a slightly smaller version of herself? Who is that supposed to be? Yes, true. Why is there two of her? Why is there two of her? It's Sonic Generation. Why is there two of her? I don't know. Why is there? It's not Twitter. It's the same image. You can clearly see it's the same image. I don't know why there's two of her. I don't know. Is that the real truth? Will they clone you in Dubai? Oh, I'm telling you, I love my algorithm. Listen, Bo. Give me your login details. Give me an hour. That's gonna be your algorithm, okay? My algorithm is fucking fire.
Just seeing how miserable people are and nobody.
That's your fault. It's your fault.
Part is
that's your fault.
We're just talking first party. If we compare Switch 2 to Switch 1 first year and include third party, oh my
Broski, oh man,
goodness, it's not even close. The Switch 2 has the best third-party support that Nintendo has had maybe since the SNES.
And yes, I agree. I've got hey, let me introduce you to my friend of the stream, Mr. Bing Wahoo. Hey guys, I'm Nintendo fan 62, and I like Nintendo games. Hello, Bing 62. Do you like Dust Bloods?
Of course I don't fucking like Dust Bloods. This game is not mature. It's a mature game that shouldn't be on the Nintendo Switch. They should be making a new Smash.
I don't know Bing Wahoo 62. I think that third-party support is very good for a console, especially.
No, I think the 2017 lineup was really good, and they need to go back to that. I don't understand who the fuck is Muskbloods.
It's not Muskbloods. It's Dust Bloods. Listen, Broski. I think you're just the Switch 2 has loads of games.
What are you talking about? The Switch 2 obviously doesn't have games. Where's the new Smash announcement? Where's Mario Journey? I don't understand what Nintendo's doing. They need to really up their financial game if they're going to beat the PlayStation.
Hey, by any chance, what do you think of Luigi?
Oh, Luigi? He makes me really fucking gassy for some reason. Excuse me, I gotta go to the bathroom.
See you later, Bing Wahoo 62. That's who you're talking to. And I'm not even joking. I know I'm doing like a straw man voice. Bo, that is literally who you're talking to when you say this. The people that you're trying to get to do not give a shit about the third-party support. I do. The fact that Nintendo shelled out, I'm assuming, a bunch of money to tell Supergiant Games to make the Hades 2 a timed console exclusive is insane work. And that only shows their commitment to third parties on the Switch 2. That you should be extremely, happy to see that as a Nintendo fan, because one of my favorite. I'm hoping for Nintendo, the Switch 2, to be a good third-party console, because then not only do you have fucking DK Bonanza, I can play DK Bonanza on the same console I'm playing Duskbloods. That's amazing. That's amazing stuff, and you should be proud of that. No Bing Wahoo fan is gonna give a shit. Okay, they're not gonna care, broski. They're not gonna care.
I guess you could maybe argue GameCube had pretty good support there for a little bit, but we're getting stuff like Resident Evil Requiem and Borderlands 4 and that 007 game. We're getting these major AAA titles in the first year on top of all these ports, and yeah, I know they're ports, but you look at the Switch 1 year one lineup for third party, and there was, Doom and Skyrim at the end of the year.
Yeah, it sucked.
But other than that, there was almost nothing. There were weeks at a time where you could go on the eShop and find a cool indie game, but that hasn't been the case here. Every single week on the Switch 2, there have been pretty big third-party games to play.
Yeah, a Chronos game. I've heard good things about this game, honestly.
There's multiple, sometimes half a dozen.
I've been meaning to try this
with Star Wars and Hollow Knight and Daemon X Machina and Chronos. I understand we all want to see the next 3D Mario game and the next Animal Crossing game, but I feel like people are letting that cloud their judgments and making them look back at 2017 and just other Nintendo first-year lineups.
Once again, you're not talking to real Nintendo fans. This is the one time I'm actually going to gatekeep, chat. This is literally the one time I'm genuinely, unironically going to gatekeep, because you're not talking to the real Nintendo fans. You're talking to the Bing Wahoo Nintendo fans. We need to normalize the delineation between Nintendo fan and Bing Wahoo fan. I would say Nintendo fan is someone who, you like your Marios, you like your Zeldas, but those other smaller Nintendo series, like your Pikmins, your Metroids, your Star Foxes, your F-Zeros, those are the things that Nintendo fans like, right? Like me, for example, right? You're not talking to Nintendo fans. You're talking to Bing Wahoo fans, okay?
We will see if Kirby Air Riders and Prime 4...
And unironically, this is the one time... If you like Nintendo as much as I do, you should gatekeep. That's why I say to laugh at these people. I'm not doing it to be a dick. I'm doing it genuinely. Ideally, by mocking these people, they understand just how close-minded they are, and they figure out, oh, hang on, maybe I should play more games. The fact that there's a good contingent of there's been multiple people in this community where they've seen me casually make fun of Bing Wahoo Nintendo fans, and then look and they go, damn, I need to maybe I should play other Nintendo games. And they decided to play Metroid Fusion on NSO, and they're like, you know what, Mr. You're right, that was one of the best games ever made. I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, it was. Hell yeah, it fucking was. Yeah, maybe you should give Nintendo's other series, especially on the Switch, where it's literally, if you have an NSO Plus EP, which you should, by the way, you should like share the price between someone for a year because it's really cheap. You have access to an unbelievable amount of Nintendo's archive. Not the best archive, obviously, but if you're someone who doesn't want to emulate, you don't have a PC, you don't want to deal with any of that dumb shit, you can like share an NSO Plus EP subscription with someone, and you can play some of the most fantastic classic games that Nintendo's ever made. And you're gonna look at me and tell me you only want the new Bing Wahoo mod. What are we doing? It's unbelievable.
And Pokemon and Hyrule Warriors and Yoshi and Mario Tennis. We'll see if all these games are good, and maybe they'll all be really bad, and we'll look back at this year one lineup as like, oh, there was a lot of games, but they were all bad, and yeah, that would be unfortunate. But to look at the first-party lineup and third-party lineup for the Switch 2, and to say there's nothing to play, that is just categorically not true. To say there aren't enough system sellers, first of all, I don't really know why we're so concerned if the system sells, especially when all that rhetoric is coming from people that already own the system. But even disregarding that,
stand on the right and walk on the left.
There are plenty of system sellers on the Switch 2.
Stand on the right, walk on the left.
I don't know how we got to
treat
this point.
Others how you want to be treated.
This lineup is like really bad. I'm genuinely asking this.
Don't
what
ask.
do you want?
Don't ask them. Again, you made a mistake. You made a mistake. Do you know how you should have ended your video, Bo? No, unironically, if I was ever going to make a video like this, shoot me in the face if I ever think about doing so. If I was ever going to make a video like this, do you know how it would end?
There are plenty of system sellers on the Switch too.
Hang on.
I don't know. I don't know how we got to this point. If you're one of the people that think this lineup is like really bad, I'm genuinely asking this.
Go play Metroid Dread. That is what I'm genuinely asking you. Go play one of the greatest Metroidvanias to ever grace our Earth. Thank you, and goodbye. That's how I'd end the video. That is how I'd end the video, okay? I would tell people once again, as I do as often as I fucking do, go play Metroid Dread. It's one of the best games I'll ever play, all right? I adore it. Now, granted, I don't do the mistake of overselling that game in the same way that Ocarina of Time was oversold to me, but what I will say is that it is a genuine, like, if you're a fan of I think it's relatively linear, so you don't have to worry about getting lost. You've got a really cool evolving moveset. Some of the most dynamic enemies that I've ever seen in a video game. And also, the bosses are just phenomenal. And one of the most interesting worlds as well in all the video games too. I think easily Metroid Dread, even if you don't think it's one of the best games to ever exist like I do, I don't think that you can play that and go, you had a bad time with it. So that's why I would say you should play Metroid Dread. Either way, Bo Talks Games. I think as Matthew put it in the chat, I don't think this video was as bad as Puzzle made it seem. I think it wasn't as bad. If you were going to people online, this is probably the best kind of people online video you could make. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it is a people online video, which means by default, it just kind of sucked. Let me put the empathy goggles on for a second. I can understand if you're someone who's been talking about Nintendo use for 10 years. Let me put the empathy glasses back on harder now, okay? I understand as someone who's been a Nintendo fan, probably browsing the casual online stuff for like years now, you're seeing that the discourse is a bit cooked, and you're kind of a bit annoyed by that. Maybe that should be a wake-up call to you to understand that these people online, I said the phrase, are not a reflection of reality, all right? The fact that the reality is what it is, but these fans are saying something different, should indicate that you're dealing with people that are inherently irrational, and instead of trying to reason with them, instead of trying to extend an olive branch, which I would say is the normal human being thing to do generally, instead you should take the Sir Moresty strat and just go, ha 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 ha. Because not only is it so much better on your mental health when you just laugh at them, but it's just funnier too. It's just funnier. When you bump into a Bing Wahoo ass fella who isn't at least a bit self-aware, laugh at them. Laugh at them, because either one, you get to see them get annoyed at you, which is just always funny. Or two, they will kind of internalize that, and then at some point, maybe not then, maybe a year from now, a month from now, a day from now, they'll realize, have I really limited my gaming palette that much? And then that'll be the nous that they need to find other games. So either way, you get immediate laughs, and you put the seed of doubt in their head that'll eventually germinate into a beautiful fruit that is called Go Play Metroid Dread. Yeah! So I'll just say, don't humanize these people. These people aren't real. They are Bing Wahoo fake pixels on your screen. And instead, what you should do is you should let me have your algorithm, so I could turn your feed into. Oh, hang on, what's this? Horse sliding down just for fun and joy. How do you know he's doing it out of hate and spite? That's true. You know, technically he's not wrong. He could be doing it out of hate and spite, but you know that looks joyful and whimsical to me, as far as I'm concerned. All that phrase means is that it's got no games at the. Oh, come on, brother! Come on, Bo! No! Oh, Bo, you're killing me, man! All the effort to go into this video to have a default Dan who couldn't even be bothered to make his name properly, which, by the way, guys, if you're not sure, this person probably tried to write the name TYG, but it was taken, so YouTube adds a bunch of random letters to the end. You can always tell because they add a dash, then a bunch of random letters and numbers. If you try to make a new account now, that is what happened. You can test it yourself. I would know. I've made a couple of new accounts lately. Yeah, so that's what happened. So this person couldn't even bother to make a proper name, no profile picture, and even they figured it out. Yeah, wrap it up, little bro. I'll be honest, most Nintendo fans are adult children. Why did they not get massive new mainline installments for one of their 5 franchise? Oh my, literally, I said it. I said the 5 franchise, didn't I? It's the 5 souls. If they didn't get that, they'll throw a tantrum and complain Nintendo doesn't get it. They're like, they need to see 3D Mario, 3D Zelda, new Smash Bros, Metro Prime, Animal Crossing, every single year. If they don't get that, everything's a waste of time filler. Literally. There are all games that should take half a year to fully enjoy it. Someone who enjoys most Nintendo IPs I've never bought. Literally. Bro, like this, it's unbelievable, bro. I'm telling you. I'm glad I started like coining this phrase, but like Nintendo fans are like fans of one of the most creatively fulfilling companies on planet Earth, and they'll unironically look you in the eye and go, "More Mario, please. Can we get more Mario, please?" And I'm just like, like Metroid, like F-Zero. I feel overwhelmed with games right now. I have a lot that I'd like to get through before Age of Imprisonment and Metroid are released. Listen, I think overwhelmed is the wrong way to think about it. Listen, you'll get to them when you get to them, you know? Usually the point about all game and presentation, it doesn't matter what showing, people are going to be unauthentically angry. Well, no, he already explained it. It's just if you get the games you want, you like it. If you don't, you don't. And there's always going to be someone that gets it and someone that doesn't. So it struck a chord on what frustrated me most about the whole discourse. People harp on this idea of system sellers so crazy to me. We're not for a car, but yeah, it's true, honestly. It's fun to look at charts and data, but sales data brain has cannibalized the discussion around Nintendo. I wouldn't say so. I think you've just maybe seen a bit too much in your algorithm. We should care about artistic merit of entertainment value of the games that the company show off, not how many millions they're going to sell in their fiscal year. True. I say this as someone who's disappointed that we don't have the next S10 Nintendo franchise announced yet. But I want an announcement because I love franchise and developers. I'm not sure if I want to switch to not because I want to switch to become more appealing. Yeah, basically, that's just a normal, sensible opinion. It's the game equivalent of animation is cinema. Only watches Disney and DreamWorks, literally. Motherfuckers will look you in the eye and be like, "Oh, animation. I love animation." Yeah. Yeah. Have you watched like this insert obscure French thing? Oh, of course I haven't. I don't like Disney. Oh my god. Did you know there was a real panic attack in Puss in Boots: The Last Wish? I think people forgot this in Nintendo. Nintendo always has a ton of exclusives. And even though it seems like it's taken a while to get to the Switch 2 exclusives, I guarantee there's still more to show. Yeah, literally, I think so. People love to hate them over them. Fuck their hate, seriously. The culture online is addicted to hate and negativity. Oh my god, he's waking up. Gamers, he's waking up. Brolin72 is waking. He's waking up. He's finally avoiding the conditioning, gamers. Hey, listen. It might take some people a while to get there, but hey, you realized it. Now, this is the part. Hey, Brolin, this is the part where you go, I want joy and whimsy. So then you bend your algorithms to your will, and then you wake up and then you go, I wonder if my algorithm is gonna be good. And then you get this. What does the Pope want for me? Never take your friends for granted. The difference between the Switch 2 and PS5 is the PlayStation exclusives kept going to PC one. Nintendo, you know they'll never happen. Sure, we do have Switch 2 editions, but if you don't count them as true exclusives, that's fine. That still doesn't change the fact that we're getting Switch 2 exclusives. I was seeing people complain about Pokemon announcing DLC before the game's out. The people must have memory loss because many gaming companies have done this. I think that's true, but I also think that's a weak counter argument personally. I don't think. Do people forget what season passes? Hell, Nintendo did this during the Switch 1. I don't really get the complaint. The only Pokemon complaint is how we'll get Star Kalos Mega Awards for online ranked battles, which does suck. Though I'm not surprised. Pokemon likes to do this thing where you have a certain time frame to get a certain Pokemon. And let's face it, the general public who aren't turning online don't care. Nintendo PlayStation sales are still good. PlayStation's issue is that the gaming budgets are too high, which is why they keep going to PC because they can't afford to sell on just one platform. Yeah, true, honestly. Switch those games, people are stubborn to refuse to try new stuff out of their comfort zone when you're the big hit. And when you only care about the big hitters, that's a you problem. Not a problem with the console itself. For me personally, I'm super excited about a lot of stuff they showed. I do think a part of that disgruntledness has to do with the price. I think the price isn't helping neither. Nintendo Switch 2 games. Nintendo Switch 2 games. Mario Kart World, failure, anti-Mario Kart? What? Donkey Kong Bonanza, good. Well, instead of amazing. Dragon Drive Tech Demo. Numerous Switch 2 editions. Oh, I'm saying anything. A Tama game because you never own. Kirby Airhead is good, just good. You don't even know if it's out yet! Ref! You don't even know if it's out yet! Splatoon Riders may be good. You don't know! Ref, seriously. Yoshi Mysterious, like $70 for a Yoshi game? You don't know if it'll be worth the money yet. Galaxy 1 are just expensive ports. Yeah, I want it down for that, buddy. It's kind of funny seeing people say the Switch 2 has no systems and there's a bunch of launch titles and so, yeah, it's just funny slander. Here before the angry mob. People don't want to say the truth. What did he reply? How could they be happy if Dragon Drive would sell 2 million copies? Listen, guys, we have to say it at the same time. You know, Bo Talks Games, you're so brave for this. You're so brave for dealing with the angry comments. You're so brave for this video, man. You shouldn't have put this video out. Honestly, you're such a hero. You're so brave, honestly. I was talking about some friends with Discord the other night. My theory is why people say Switch 2 has nudie games. A lot of them are spin-offs, cross-gen, smaller games, or less popular franchises. So the really big Switch exclusive so far is Mario Kart 1 and DK Bonanza. Yeah, basically. I think that's fair. I think it's a perception thing, you know? Why do you keep saying the Nintendo community? These people are, people saying this aren't the Nintendo community, they're trolls. No, they're Bing Wahoo fans. Adding updates to Ultra Swing Game and calling it games to play for the Switch 2 is the biggest hoop jump I've ever seen. Healthy scuba delusion. I wouldn't say delusion. I think calling the Switch 2 version of Wonder with Bella Bell Park a Switch 2 game is like, it's like half and half, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I can see, I'm personally not counting it. I'm counting it as just DLC for a Switch 1 game that's exclusive to Switch 2, but I don't know, it's a bit weird. Switch had more exclusive games than any other platform. Back in the day, we just happy new games would go. Kids are spoiled these days. Oh, gamers. These kids these days are just too spoiled. Everybody just wanting Bing Wahoo right now. Goes back to his day. You're the worst, I hate these people are boring. These people are so fucking boring. As if people in the Wii era weren't complaining that that a console Wii was just made for fucking granddads. Where's like the real hardcore gaming console for gamers, you know? Like, in every era of Nintendo fans were complaining. You're just cooked, brother. You're cooked. Boycott Nintendo and Parks, drop the prices, no getting key cards. I'm sorry, brother. You have an AI profile picture. I don't give a shit about your opinion. A goddamn YouTuber's name I won't mention calling out Nintendo for not having system sellers like he has the stock investments in the company. I know pricing is just fine. The problem is the pricing. Nintendo's gone greedy. Hang on. Who's the Why won't you name him? Arthur, why won't you name him? Downvote for not naming him. If you apply city rules, then the Switch 1 best 1 year of every console is not that great now, is it? Yeah, but it isn't though. It's just Bing Wahoo. It's fun to hate on Nintendo, that's what it is. True, see, he gets it! This guy gets it. It's just kind of fun to hate on them at the moment, which, you know, if you asked me, I'd be like, I guess I could do without, but like, I'm just kind of, you just gotta ride the wave. I think the issue is, like, when people say, for me, I'm just kind of, like, the internet works in waves. Do you know what I mean? Like, for me, if it ever seems like I'm not doing enough, or it seems like I'm complacent or I'm lazy, it's not that. It's just, for me, that's the current wave. Is wherever the current wave is a bit annoying, yes. But at some point, the wave's gonna wash away and then something else will come along. Do you know what I mean? That's just kind of, it's a bandwagon. That bandwagon's gonna get on. Everyone's gonna be like, yeah, up about the bandwagon, brother. And eventually it's gonna sail off into the sunset. And then a new bandwagon's gonna come out. Like, that's the internet. It's just bandwagons and hype trains and hate mobs and like, it cycles. It's just cyclical. It's just cyclical. What, like, so when people say, when I say, oh, it's fun to hate on Nintendo, I'm like, yeah, let's hate on them. Like, for me, I'm personally, if you had to ask me, there's 3 camps you can be on. There's the camp where you just like plug your ear ins and pretend nothing happens, right? Which is fair. You can do that if you want. But for me, I think the other 2 camps are way more fun. Camp 1 is the counter bandwagon where you're like, this bandwagon's bad, this bandwagon's bad. And it's like, fair enough if you want to do that. But like, I'd say 9 times out of 10, it's just going to make you more exhausted. Do you know what I mean? I don't mind joining a counter bandwagon if it's something I genuinely like believe really, really strongly on. But if the current counter bandwagon is, well, Nintendo isn't actually that bad, I can't see myself getting on the counter bandwagon and disturbing my mental faculties for $1 billion company. Like, I don't care about Nintendo that much. Not anymore, anyway. Maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, Nintendo, maybe. But as of now, I'm not jumping on the counter bandwagon. I don't care enough. And then the other solution is just jump on the bandwagon because why the fuck not? And I'm just gonna have some fun. You know, these people on the bandwagon, they got cider, they got drinks, they're playing blackjack in the corner. I'm like, you know, this bandwagon seems kind of sick. Hey, you know, I'm here for it. You know what I mean? You guys are like, you're having fun. I like this bandwagon. This bandwagon's pretty fun, you know what I mean? If people are gonna slander the Switch Road games, I'm just kind of here for it, you know? If you get into like the Nintendo territory of it, I'm like, okay, well, this is a bit boring now. But the kind of people that are just having fun and making memes, like, I'll play some blackjack, you know what I mean? It's good. So for me, you have one of 3 realities, and I know which one is better for my mental health. You have to prioritize the one that ups your mental health. And the one that prioritizes mine is to join the hate wagon and enjoy the parts of it that are funny and just discard the ones that are not, you know? So that's what it is. Either join the bandwagon because it's fun, and in like a month from now, no one's going to give a shit. Don't care, in which case just plug your ears and just hope it goes away, which it will. Or 3, join the counter bandwagon, which you can, but be careful, okay? You don't want to end up like Bo Talks things, basically. So that's how it is. Either way, I think I've seen all the comments I want to see, and I think it's just basically all I expected. Closing thoughts, pretty much the same as my closing thoughts when I closed out the video, which is basically, yeah, the 3 things I talked about. At the moment, Switch 2 has no games is the current bandwagon that people are joining. Either you can join the bandwagon and find the fun where there's fun and then leave when it's no longer fun. You can either simply ignore it and it will go away like all things do, or you can join the counter bandwagon, which is good, but which is fair if you want to, if you really want to stake your claim as like a counter guy. But like, I don't think that staking your claim for a company that doesn't give a shit about you, for people that evidently won't care, is just like, for a contingent of people that are just Bing Wahoo Andes, is worth your time. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna join the counter bandwagon, you gotta like stop and you gotta think, okay, I'm gonna lose like 40% of my mental faculties doing this, but is this something I really believe in? Again, just to repeat one more time, you're talking to a contingent of fans that aren't going to listen to you anyway about a console from a company that evidently is just not our company anymore. Do you know what I mean? What you're better off doing, Bo Talks games, is just playing Metroid Dread. And if you played that, play Mega Man 10. Because Mega Man 10 is also another good game. And play Shovel Knight Dig. God of War. God of War is always a classic. Helldivers 2. Astrobot. What's it? Wario Land. The Wario Land games. Wario Land 2. Wario Land 2 is actually really good. It has multiple endings. It's really fun. What else have we got? What else have I got within Suika game? Hey, Motor game. If you buy Suika game, the multiplayer, I will play that with you. We'll do that next stream, okay? Listen, join me, okay? We'll play Suika game multiplayer together because they're making a sequel, so I want to play the multiplayer. The original. I'll beat you the original, okay? But yeah, I'll leave it there. Bo, best of luck to you. Don't let these people get you down, man. It's just not worth your time, and we'll leave it there.